A good day to you out there. I'm Dali Pascal, and I'm going to be your host today on Justice, a lawyer's hangout where lawyers dissect legal issues. Today, we are talking about intellectual property. And we have in the studio with me, who are going to be our discussants, 3 powerful lawyers. It promises to be a handful. It promises to be a very engaging session with the type and caliber of guests we are bringing on the show. I am particularly very pleased to have with me on the show today one of our very best hands in the intellectual property world or industry, as it were, as far as Nigeria, Africa, and probably the world is concerned. In the studio with me is Miss Abisola Omolere. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Also, we have in the studio Mr. Gabriel Ebule.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Also, we have the very spontaneous, creative, and most superfluous, I would say, Miss Monirat Adama in the studio with us.
I'm most grateful,
Monirat,
Pascal.
you're welcome once
Thank
again.
you.
You know, our
Pascal.
sessions can be filled with banters, but we're not going to have so much of a banter today, are we?
Hopefully.
We'll try.
All right. So the topic for today's discussion, which I shall be anchoring, but then with our discussants here, will be as it relates to the legal framework and protections surrounding intellectual property rights in Nigeria. So we're going to move right into it. All right. I'm not an expert, but I'm a lawyer. But this is one area or one aspect of law that I'm very passionate about. And I think it's also going to impress on me so much to learn from the masters themselves. So Ms. Abisola Omolere would do justice to the questions from the beginning, then the other discussants in the studio can take a swipe. So Ms. Bisola, straight to it. What do we understand by intellectual property in Nigeria?
Intellectual property in Nigeria has to do with the creation of the mind. So it deals with creations of the mind, that are intangible but has to be expressed in one way or another. And take, for example, music. It's a creation of the mind expressed through what you can hear in songs, or maybe books, which is a creation of the mind, and you can see it in form of a novel or a story. And then we also have our marks, that can be used commercially, that would have to capture trademarks and all of that. And we also have inventions and innovations, which is covered by patent. So intellectual property in the simplest term has to do with creations of the mind.
Okay. That's a beautiful one. For a moment, I was carried away.
Same here.
Bisola is very beautiful. Look at us talking in the studio.
You can say that again.
She's very beautiful, and then again, the way she speaks to the facts, it shows mastery. It shows mastery, and I think she's quite distinguished herself in this terrain. But we'll still fall back to you so that we can learn from the master's foot in it. Now, intellectual property, I understand there are issues of rights, privileges, or duties, or things that has to do with the rights of persons who are proponents or owners of intellectual properties. Like you said, they are intangible. So these intangible assets, these intangible properties that I have, if I was to have an intellectual property, I think I have some. What are my rights?
Okay.
And how do I express them?
Okay. So intellectual property rights, they are legal rights, first of all, that is granted by law. Right. So they give exclusive rights. And what I mean by that is that they give rights that kind of excludes all other people from exercising the legal rights that you have been given. So let's take, for example, a singer of a song or a writer of a song. So what rights do they have? The law provides that they have the right to sell their work. They have the right to redistribute their work, again, to the exclusion of all others. That means it's an exclusive right that they alone can.
Exclusive preserve.
Exactly. So they alone can actually take that on. So they have that right. They have the right to perform the work, right? They have the right to rebroadcast the work, to perform it in public. So think about one of your favorite songs. When you see them doing a live performance of their song, they are exercising their intellectual property right. When you see them sell their albums or maybe singles, streamings, whatever, they are exercising that intellectual property rights that the law has given them. And again, when we take maybe trademarks, for example. The kind of rights that the law gives a trademark owner, again, is an exclusive right to prevent other people from, taking advantage of their mark, which probably they're building over a long time and has now had commercial value. So they have the right to not let any other person use that mark. So think about maybe one product that you like, maybe the Apple logo, right? So you can't just use it, because one of the rights that they have, if they do have a trademark in Nigeria, will be to exclude every other person from using that mark.
And that right is enforceable.
Absolutely.
To what extent?
To the extent to which the owner of the trademark wants to enforce the mark. So the thing with the marks is that the law provides for its enforcement, right?
Yes.
But if you don't go to the law, it's just going to be there, right? So long as the owner of the mark has those rights, is aware of those rights, and there is an infringement of that right, they have every right to pursue it to the letter.
Right. Now, a moment ago, or sometime I was sharing an idea with one of our discussants in the studio. So allow me to go public with our discussion. And she mentioned something in line of the song Bo 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 at the time, and the issues that arose from there. But we didn't really exhaust that discussion.
Okay.
So you give us a moment. I would want her to talk to that situation, that scenario. In such a scenario, what right? Who had a right? Whose right was breached? And what can be done to remedy if faced with such a situation? This is the discussion we had behind. I'm sorry, I'm bringing it to the
For
public.
me, Pascal, I'm a bit biased about that particular story. So the Ngwongwo War was about a comedian called Brain Jota.
Yes.
They do skits and all that. They do this TikTok challenge and all that, Instagram challenge. And then he maybe had the song somewhere and brought it out and did a dance with that song and made it a challenge, and it went viral. And the backstory about that particular song was that it was sung by, I've forgotten the particular name of that man, about, say, 80 years ago, as far back as like 80 years ago. I'm sorry if that number is incorrect. And then the copyright issue came up. That everything, or your TikTok account will pay you, your Instagram will pay Brain Jota, Instagram will pay Brain Jota, TikTok, and I think whatever social media Facebook is on, they're saying every royalty he gets from that particular song should be remitted to the original owner of the song. But argument came in that at that time he sang that song, he had not registered the song.
Okay.
So if we are to follow the law strictly, we would say that, of course, he did not register the song, so he cannot claim absolute right to it. But of course, we are Nigerians. I'm biased about it. I know, you're saying, I didn't register it, but it's glaring that I actually, this is my intellectual property. This is my song. I created it, and someone else is reusing it and making more money to some extent, even though not everything, at least to some extent, 50-50.
For me, I would think
that's what I think.
I'm sorry, but for me, I think that would be within the lines of morality. I don't know, the young man in the studio is also boiling. So maybe you want to say something. But for me, just before you come in, sir,
no
I think for me it goes to maybe morality, because
That's not morality.
No, that is where
That's
we
not
are.
morality. The truth is,
Okay, I'm the host here, so I'm going to leave it. Let him talk.
All right.
Then I will just
All right, Pascal.
continue before you swallow me
All right.
on your
When that issue occurred during that time, I was very pissed off at Nigerians. When people were saying that he owes the man royalties and whatnot. Music is not for just one person, yeah? He put the music online, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just like you putting a song online now, you tell me I cannot perform to the song or dance to the song and make a video about it. That's why the angle I saw it at. Every day we make Snapchat videos on Snapchat with artist music. We do that. Brain Jota decided to do a video with the artist song and decided, okay, I want to use my video to do a challenge. I don't really see the intellectual property theft he did there.
Okay,
So you can enlighten us. But I don't really
let
see.
me first say that copyright, let me touch on the point I said the song was like 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Copyright is a part of intellectual property. And for me, it's like one of my favorite parts. I have a bias there because I'm a creative myself.
Yes.
But I would say that the law is that the duration of copyright is for the entire lifetime of the creator of work plus 70 years. And I like to call it a lifetime and another lifetime because 70 years, after you're
It's
dead,
a long
Normal
time.
human,
another.
yes.
So it really doesn't matter how long that if the creator of the work is still alive, he still has that exclusive right over his song.
But the
That
question
is
now,
the
Bisola,
okay.
is after that 80 years ago, he did not, one of the criteria for you to actually have complete this exclusive right you're
Okay.
talking about is for you to actually register it.
Now
called
it's
exclusive
interesting.
preserve.
It's interesting.
Exclusive preserve. That's the word.
And he did not do that as
Now,
80
guess
years
what?
ago. That's the
Guess
argument.
What?
Yes.
Guess what? You don't copyright automatically attaches to your work.
Oh.
You don't even, yes, that's
Okay.
the beauty of copyright. The law is the law really tries to create a balance with respect to copyright and intellectual property between the creator and the public, right? So the copyright attaches to your work as soon as it is created. There are two factors that allows you to earn copyright, right? If you create an original work and if you fix it in some form of tangible medium.
Okay.
So if I write a song, let's take the Go Go Gone Go song.
Okay.
He wrote it 80 years ago, and then
How
he
did
put
you
it
pronounce
out.
that again?
Please go on, Bisola.
Okay, so he wrote the song 80 years ago, and he put it out in a CD or maybe whatever it was at the time. So that means he had fulfilled the two criteria necessary by law to then
Okay.
earn a copyright. Now, when we talk about copyright registration, it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory, but it's
Okay.
really a nice thing to do because then it makes it easier to prove,
Okay.
right? So we still encourage people to register their copyright because you don't want somebody registering your song,
Yes,
when
yes.
then it just becomes a bit more difficult to prove unless it was tied to you, like the Go Go Gongwa song. I hope I got that right. But really, so if he has fulfilled the mandate of creating the song, he's the creator, he has exclusive right all through his life plus 70 years after. And now let me also touch on the issue of performance. Earlier when we're talking about the intellectual property law rights that the law gives, one of the rights is to adapt the work.
Okay.
So he controls, the owner of the work really now controls the way his work is to be used.
Okay.
Yes, that's the beauty
That's
of
an eye-opener.
copyright. Yes, so it's really an asset, right? That stays with you forever. So he controls the way the work is.
So are you saying I
if
cannot
you want
dance to the song and
you
put
can
a video
dance
on
to
it?
the song, really.
Okay.
But then no, this is interesting. Like it's kind of moving into entertainment law and music
Yes.
law and all of that. But the thing is, you can do that, but you have to get a license from them. So if you're using somebody's work without their consent, if it's not for personal use alone, right? If you're making money off that work, you can't do that. That's the essence of the law, to protect the creator of work. And it's really an interesting aspect of the law. And why the law really, focuses on protecting the creative is because they need to, the economy really benefits from the works of creator as well. So you need to have a way to encourage creators, that think originality and all of that.
Yeah.
So the law is really protects them on so many levels that they don't even need to register.
So
but
in
they
other
should.
words, Bisola, once the property comes from your head, that is it. It's
and
yours.
not just that, and you fix it in a medium. You put it. Now I can't
Okay.
say that I have composed a song. I write songs myself. There are some I have not released.
Okay.
I'm the only one who knows it.
Okay.
Maybe I've not even put it down. Maybe I just know it, the tune in my head. Copyright would not attach to that.
Okay.
But the minute I sing it on my phone, copyright attaches to it.
on your phone
Interesting.
per se, or put it out publicly.
Not just
because,
publicly. Copyright, once you have fixed it in a tangible medium.
But it's going to be hard to prove. Like, for instance, now you
that's the
put it.
thing.
That's the
That's
thing
the
now.
thing.
I
That's
believe
the
we should.
thing.
be-
But
I'm
if
going
you
to
can
let you
prove
have
that.
your Lego banters on my show.
just
We'll go on a short break
Okay.
and we'll be back.
As a people and members of LJE Green Community, we share a deeper commitment to protect not only our environment, but also the rights and dignity of all individuals within our reach. Every day, we are faced with responsibility to uphold Human dignity. If you see something happening around you, do not turn blind eye. We must act because that's where our role as ambassadors come in. Being an ambassador doesn't require any superpower. It requires awareness, compassion, and the willingness to speak up. If you see something, say something. It's our duty to stand up for justice and amplify the voices of those who can't speak for themselves. One voice can spark a movement, and together we can create a nation that values human life. You can reach us on 070-5236-8821 or visit our website at www.ljenigeria.org to report a violation. Remember, if you see something, say something.
Our audience, you're welcome back on the show. Just before the break, we were talking about intellectual property rights. We've had quite an elaborate conversation or discussion already, but we'll take it up from there. I would want us to look at some of the different types of intellectual property, and look at if there are issues of if they are registrable or not and all of that. The experts here would do the job. Mine is to ask a question. So, Ms. Munirat,
Yeah.
are there different types of intellectual properties that are known to law within the Nigerian law that you can let our audience know about?
Yes, they are, Pascal. We have the copyright.
Okay.
This deals with the intellectual property she was talking about, the music, books, and the rest. That's copyright. Then we have patents. We have patents has to do with, let's say, new invention, per se, maybe one among many. Trademark, of course. If you have your business or whatever it is, you have a logo or a particular let me just use logo as an example that describes your business. Thank you. Or signature. Thank you very much. That describes your business, your whatever it is you do. There's a trademark. You can go and register it as trademark. Only you can actually use it. And I think it has to do with also phrase, words, and the rest, not just logo alone. I might not be able to mention all of them.
So if I adopted a phrase,
yes,
and is it registrable? I adopted a phrase.
Yes,
Bisola.
very much.
If I adopted a phrase, is it registrable and nobody else gets to use it without a permission from me for the purposes of making money, like you said?
So if it's something that you're using commercially, absolutely, yes, you can do that. If it's for commercial use and it's something that is traceable to you, it's something that you have formed, so if it still matches or if it fulfills the requirement of distinctiveness, with respect to trademark, it has to be distinctive. So if it passes that mark and it's something you're using, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like this slogan now, something huge. I did not say huge. Something huge is a particular slogan or phrase that was used by Sabinus, this comedian. He successfully registered it, so no one can actually just come and use it.
I think I've seen something like that. So just do it.
Then we have
Just
industrial
do it.
designs. We have industrial designs that has to do with the aesthetic of your products, like the appearance, the particular way it appears, especially the outer appearance. And then we have trade secrets.
No, that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I'll stop you there now.
All right.
Let's talk about registration.
Okay.
We've been talking of registration. It's registrable. You can enforce it. How do I register? What body is responsible for this registration? How do you go about enforcing that right? Or registering it and enforcing it as your own? I don't know how to put it, but I know you get what I mean.
Absolutely.
All right.
So let's start from copyright, right? So the body responsible for registration of copyright is the National Copyrights Commission, right? Okay. So the NCC, really. So, and there's a process, is something that our creatives are encouraged to do. They can do it online, or they can speak to their intellectual property lawyer to assist them with the with the procedure.
Are you one?
Absolutely.
All right. So we have an expert for the purpose of consultations, please. This is not us brief chasing, but He's an expert, right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But really, again, it's something that creatives can actually do online themselves. So the thing is, like I said, the law is on the side of the creator as much as possible. So it kind of simplifies that as much as possible. But again, if they want to, talk to their intellectual property lawyer about it, that would be great because they also get other benefits from there. But then, again, a simple registration is something they can do themselves. And that's it for copyright. That's all you have to do. And then with respect to trademark, again, so the patent, you have to register your trademarks with the trademarks registry, right? And the process for that, really, you have to go through a trademark lawyer, or an intellectual property lawyer is definitely a trademark lawyer as well. So as far as that goes, as much as I know, you have to do that through an accredited agent, which is usually a trademark lawyer. Right? So you have to speak to your trademark lawyer about that, and then they would just guide you in the process. So, but the basic things that you will need is the mark you're trying to protect, and you could protect a word mark, a logo mark, a combination of word mark and logo mark. You could actually have it in your person or maybe have it on a corporate body, So a trademark could actually be for an individual or, a corporate body, right? So, and and again, I should just say, by the way, that even creatives can register trademarks. So, for example, let's say Davido, for example. Davido is the name, when you hear Davido, you think about just one person. There's thousands of Davids, right?
30
But
30 BG.
so that is something that is also trademarkable, right? So, and then as far as our patent is concerned, again, patent has to be registered, and again, it has to be by an accredited agent. That has to do with, since it has to do with invention, it's a bit more technical because they're like our processes that have to. Just the conditions are a bit more stringent than copyrights and trademarks. So again, you want to deal with an expert with respect to that. And maybe I should just touch on the duration of protection that this registration gives you. We talked about copyright much earlier, saying 2 lifetimes, the lifetime of the creator, and then 70 years after. And then with respect to trademarks, it is valid for 7 years, and then you can continue to renew that until forever. And then, but the thing with patent is not like that. Patent gives you a 5-year protection upfront, and then another 5-year protection and another 5-year protection, and that's it.
I'm not going to dwell on prices, but I want to believe that these registrations are not so expensive because our audience and listeners are coming for these registrations very soon. They know they are going to flood our DMs. They are going to come to our studio. So please do well by them. Now, I have a logo, or I have a music, or I have an intellectual property, and I'm seeing it being used, maybe registered, maybe not registered. How do I enforce my rights? Okay. What are the procedures for that? Who do I approach?
Okay.
All right, and how do I make my claims? Must I go straight to court? Are there alternative ways of going about it? Are there regulatory agencies responsible for regulating issues of infringement like that?
Okay, so with respect to infringement of intellectual property rights, if we start with copyright, for example, you could actually send a cease and desist letter first. You could send a notice just notifying them, I beg your pardon, a letter notifying them of their infringement, and then that their response will then determine what your next step will be. Because again, copyright infringement is not something a lot of people are familiar with. They even think they're just trying to maybe even increase the popularity of your work without understanding. So exactly. But then the copyright owner does not have to accept your favor. And if they say, no, I don't consider this a favor, you're infringing my right and I want you to stop. So they can send a letter to you, telling you of that, and you can cease, you can stop doing that, or they can then take it to the next level if maybe the person continues
Can I
with
make
that
claims
infringement.
for damages or for
Absolutely.
costs in the letter?
In the letter, well, you could. Well, a letter is a letter, right? You could. And maybe the response of the person then determines what happens subsequently, right? But, if you're also acting in good faith as a creative, you might just want to say, okay, you are infringing my right, especially when you notice it, at the outset or on the onset. You can just, I don't want you to do this. And if you want to do this, let's have some form of licensing arrangement between us, and then we can see how that goes.
And that advisably should be done through your lawyer, of course.
Absolutely, that helps a lot.
All right. So
And then,
are there many issues, litigation issues? I don't know if Mr. Gabriel will take that swipe. Have you seen instance of many issues of litigation as it relates to trademark, patents, copyright, and all of that?
There have been so many that have popped up across the years. I think Sabinus took and Pick Milk then when they used his advert, something that his name, something huge. Like I think Sabinus that popped up. I think there was one as well. Let me go to the entertainment thing. Kiss Daniel when he had issues with his record label. I don't know if that what prompted him. I don't know if that's what prompted him to change his name from Kiss to Keys, because there's some agreements that can own everything. Most record labels do that in the
Same thing as
agreement.
Cynthia
I know even
Morgan.
Davido at the time had to pay for his name.
Yes.
Cynthia
Somebody was
Morgan
burying
too.
Davido already, so he had to pay for that
to
name
use it. So yes, so
to take ownership.
Yes, another thing is that most of the time the issue really relating to this can be settled. It doesn't always have to get to court.
Yeah, it
Like
doesn't.
it's something that maybe an arbitration, ADR, an alternative dispute resolution can always kind of sort out. But then if things get out of hand, then
For
we
those
go
that
to
are
court.
recalcitrant, of
And
course.
one of the major one I've personally participated in this GMT. I don't know if you know this lion that when you are watching movie, that lion that howl, like GMT or something that they call them. I think someone in the East was selling them this Odogu bitter, and they used the logo all the way from
US.
Yes, the US.
wow.
They contacted my boss then.
Is it GMT or
And we did-
Lionsgate?
Lionsgate. So wait, hold up. I have a question for you, Bisola, since you're the expert among the experts. Yeah. So first of all, if I register a trademark here in Nigeria, guys, come down to what you
Okay,
just mentioned
yes,
now.
yes.
Does it cover registration abroad as well?
Okay, so the thing is, the nature of trademarks is that they are territorial in nature.
Okay.
So that means that if you're registering your trademark in Nigeria, the protection is
Only in
for Nigeria. But then, okay, well, there's an international form of trademark registration, but Nigeria is not part of that yet, right? So if as a Nigerian you want protection in other countries, then you'd have to take the step to register your trademark in other countries as well. But for countries that have this international system, like the Madrid Protocol and all of that, they can really have they can get more coverage, with one application.
Wow.
And that's exactly
Yes.
what GMT did. They registered their trademark all over the world, including Nigeria. That's why they were able to sue.
So
that
basically, we
particular
are set
business.
about
Yeah.
them because you can't tell me.
We'll get
that
there. We'll
it's-
get there.
So trademark, intellectual properties are not one of those areas where you can petition to a security agency and all of that. Is that what we're saying?
Okay, could you rephrase that question?
Trademark, not trademark now, intellectual property, as it were, is not one of such fields where if issues came up, you can criminalize it.
Well, there's a criminal aspect to infringement of copyright and all of that, but largely it's a civil matter, really.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, and your claims have to come through the civil route.
Yes. But again, there are criminal parts of infringements, and that is at the discretion of the court, really. So don't just think it's just a civil situation. It can become a criminal situation, but then it's not really the first. It's not the first approach
All right.
to it, really. It's largely
So
civil.
for want of time, I want to believe this has been a very wonderful session.
Most definitely.
And for
Most
want of
definitely.
time again, I want to believe we've not been able to exhaust because there is
Yeah.
so much to look into. And so we would like to seek your convenience and your indulgence at the same time that when next we call, your lines be open to us
Absolutely.
for another exposition on issues of intellectual property, as it were.
Absolutely.
It was His Excellency then, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who was credited with saying, "Waiting lawyers they do self." All this show has been able to tell you, and the previous shows on justice, is for the purpose of education. And to tell you and to tell us, the society and our listener audience out there, that lawyers are doing a lot. This is one aspect of law that even as a lawyer, I am not conversant with. And I'm not too proud to admit it because you can't know it all. Of course, we have our other expertise.
Yeah.
So the aspects and angles to law are too multifaceted, too diverse, and too much to exhaust. This is one of them. And it has to do with registration and rights as it relates to intellectual property. Intellectual property, from all we've been able to gather, are intangible assets, intangible properties intangible giftings that you bet. And upon betting it, it is registrable. And once it is registered, you have rights for enforcement, ranging from music, poem, logos, signatures, content. We are living in times where there are too many creatives in Nigeria. Content on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, they are all registrable intellectual properties. And you will do yourself some good to get an expert in that field and get your intellectual properties registered. That being said, we look forward to the next episode with Bisola Omolere, of course, Mr. Gabriel Gule, and Munirat. Being said, that is our time. It's a wrap, and may the odds remain in our favor. Dali Pascal, your host on Justice.